I've bought over $50 million worth of real estate, all using other people's money in the past 11 years. But 11 years ago, I started at zero. So I am doing a 5-part series where I'm going to walk you through my very first 5 deals, go through the stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, and give you my biggest lessons learned in my first 5 deals. In this video, I'm going to cover my very first deal, walk you through everything, and give you my biggest lesson learned. Why do I have the dog, you wonder? Well, someone in the office just got this little boy named Henry, and I just did it to get you to watch. I'm gonna go put him away and we're gonna get to business. All right, now the dog's gone, let's get into my very first property. So it was 2014 and I started investing in real estate. I graduated college in 2011 and went into the real world in sales, selling Caterpillar construction equipment. Lucas, my business partner, graduated college in 2012. It took him 6 years to graduate. Inside joke there. Let's not worry too much about it for this video. So 2012 came along and he moved to Kansas City. And he moved to Kansas City and he was looking at renting or buying a house. He had 2 houses side by side. One was for sale by owner, the other one was for rent. He did the math and it was gonna cost him like $1,400 a month to rent. The house next door he could buy, and all of his payments were gonna be like $700 a month. So he's like, what's going on here? There's a huge spread in owning real estate. So he bought the house, moved in, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, gave it to me. By 2012, I read it on my honeymoon. And by 2013, Lucas said, I'm moving back to St. Louis and we're going to invest in real estate. So that's exactly what he did. And that's exactly what we started to do. So mid to late 2013, we started looking around for deals. We were looking on Zillow. We were looking for bank-owned properties. We didn't have a formula. We didn't have criteria. We just knew that we wanted to get a good deal and we wanted to pay as least as possible for it. Now, our plan was to buy as many rentals as we could to replace our W-2 incomes. Looking back, that's not a very good plan. Don't try to do that. You need to mix in flips and wholesales if you want to actually quit your job. Rentals aren't going to do it, especially if you're not using any of your own money. But we didn't know that. And we didn't have enough of our own money to put down on a rental property. I think between the two of us, we probably had $5-6 grand in our bank accounts max. What we did know was you could borrow money to buy and flip a property. I remember watching those HGTV shows, Torque El Musa, Flip or Flop, those shows, and I remember seeing some scenes. They would go to a lawyer, a family member, or a friend that had some money. They'd get the deal funded by that partner, and then they'd split the profits, and they didn't have to use any of their own money. So we knew that much. So we wanted to buy rentals, but we didn't have enough money, so our plan was to buy a house with a private lender's money that we didn't have, fix it up, flip it, pay them a percentage, and then keep the rest and use that for the 20% down payment. I think everybody knows you can put 20% down on a property to have a bank finance the rest, but you got to have that 20% cash. So that was our plan. We looked at 25 or 30 different properties, made offers, had contingencies because we didn't have a private lender lined up. We talked to 10 or 15 different people, and we finally got a private lender to say yes, he would give us a loan at 10% up to $100,000. So now we had a buy box, which unintentionally kind of helped us narrow things down. We found a property that was listed bank owned for $79,900. We didn't know exactly how much it needed. We assumed maybe 30 to 40 grand. But again, remember, all we had was 100 grand from the private lender. We decided to negotiate the price down to make up the difference. And after some back and forths, we got the property under contract for $77,000, which if you're doing the math, 77,000 plus 40,000 in rehab is 117,000. We didn't have the 117,000. We were able to make up that 17 grand through sweat equity. We did the demo. We did a little bit of flooring and some trim work, which looked like crap then and still looks like crap now. We did some painting, some landscaping, just general things that we could to get the rehab cost down to under $100,000. We were about halfway through the rehab and we went to a local meetup and we told the gentleman that ran the meetup, Brian, about our plan, and he asked if our end goal was rentals, and we said yes, for sure. We're only using the flip money for down payments. And he said, why don't you just go to a bank and do a cash out refinance? They'll appraise the property and they'll give you a loan for 80% of the appraised value. You take that loan and you pay back your private lender, and if you ran your numbers right, plus interest. We said, well, hell yeah, let's do that. So as we were finishing up the project, we went to these banks. We went to Bank of America, Commerce Bank, and even some regional banks, and they all said, what the hell are you guys talking about? We don't do commercial loans on investment properties. We only do residential loans on properties that you're actually going to occupy and live in. So we went to that next month's meetup and we said, Brian, what are you talking about? And he said, you need to go to the right banks, these small local community banks. And after getting told no by 22 banks, he gave us one phone number. We called the person at that bank and they said, yeah, we'll do the loan. Come in, let's talk, and we'll look at your financial situation. The fact that we each had W-2 jobs, although we weren't making very much money at the time, we each had jobs and good credit scores. They said, we will do an 80% cash out refinance loan. I think the rates were 6.5% over 20 years, which isn't the best, but it was all we had. So that's what we did. We took the property to that local bank and they appraised it for $125,000 and we had $99,000 in it. So they gave us that 80% cash out refinance loan, which 80% of $125,000 is $100,000. That was enough to pay back our private lender their $99,000 plus $1,000 in interest. However, we owed them $4,000 more and we didn't have the money. Fortunately, about halfway through this project, we got another deal under contract that we were able to talk the private lender into letting us roll the interest from this project into that project at 12% or 13%, a little higher interest rate. He ran the numbers, he dug into the second project and saw the deal that we got, which is going to be the lesson learned on video 2 of this series. And he said, yes, you can do that, and allowed us to do that. So it's beautiful when you have private lenders that you have a relationship with and you can be flexible with these types of things. Because this deal did not go smoothly, like no deals will, especially your first deal. It should have been a 3-month project and ended up taking us 6 or 7. We overspent money where we shouldn't have. We probably could have got a better appraisal and it just was a mess. However, at the time, we were able to get a rental property using zero of our own dollars that was worth $125,000 and we owed $100,000 on. So we had $25,000 worth of equity, which probably doubled our net worth, both of us, all using other people's money. Now, here's a cool overarching theme that you should have by watching any of my content on any platform or my podcast, but real estate is freaking powerful. This isn't the lesson learned. I'm getting ready to get to that, but look at what happened to this very first property. It is now worth $270,000 and our mortgage got paid down to $60,000. So we have $210,000 worth of equity in one rental property we bought using none of our own money, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing. If you can do that 5 times and have a similar result, probably more because house prices have obviously gone up, therefore equity has gone up, you can be a millionaire buying 5 properties in about 10 years or less. That is the power of real estate. It goes up in value over time, no matter what. Death, taxes, and real estate goes up in value. Of course, there are momentary dips, but overall, real estate always has and always will go up. At the same time, you're getting somebody else to pay down your mortgage, plus all other owning expenses that come along with owning real estate. Plus, on top of that, you should be getting positive cash flow, at least to a certain degree. And on top of that, you get tax savings above and beyond the tax-free cash flow that you get. We've been able to write off tens of thousands of dollars of income from this one rental property over the years because of depreciation. And this isn't even in mentioning the number one secret of real estate, which is leverage. You can put 20% down on a rent-ready property, but you control 100% of that asset. If you want to buy $125,000 worth of stocks, you better have $125,000 worth of cash. If you want to buy $125,000 worth of crypto, you better have $125,000 worth of cash. If you want to buy a $125,000 rental property, you can put $25,000 down on it and still control 100% of that asset, or you can get creative like we did and you can use none of your own money to buy it. Real estate is the way to create wealth. It's going to very soon be the only way to get ahead financially. That's why I talk about it all the time on all my platforms. Shoot, that's why if you go to the description below, you'll see a link to schedule a call with my team to see if you're a good fit for my community. I put thousands of hours of free content out every single month, but there is a small percentage of people that want more out of life and are willing to become a part of my community to learn the groove path, to learn the fast lane, and learn how to do it the right way from the very beginning. And we have that option, even though it's not for everybody. Shoot, you can't even sign up by clicking on the link. You have to schedule a call with my team and get interviewed to see if you'll be a good fit. All right, on to the biggest lesson learned. And if you're still watching, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. We got a 5-part series. I just finished a 5-part series about the BRRRR method, a video for each letter. And now we're doing a 5-part series about the first 5 rentals I bought. I'm going back to the very beginning, back to the roots to try to connect with those that are trying to get started. Because when you own $50 million worth of real estate, you can kind of forget some of the initial struggles. So I'm trying to go back to help you where you're at. All right, the biggest lesson learned of this one out of all the other things I talked about is that refinance. Having the right financial connections to be able to get a loan based on the value, not based on you as the borrower, is astronomically large. This is why debt to income ratio doesn't matter if you're investing in real estate, because it's not about your debt. It's not about your income. It's about the property, and does the property stand on its own? It's asset-based lending versus borrower-based lending. This property was worth $125,000. The right bank will say, you can bring me $25,000 or 20% in cash and I will fund 100%. Or if you bring me the deal, I'll still finance $100,000. I don't need your cash in the bank. I just want to have that 20% or $25,000 worth of equity to have a secure position in my loan. As long as it's bringing in enough rent and there's equity built in, we will lend you money as many times as you want. There is no limit to how many times you can do this. And we just got lucky enough because we did what other investors at the time told us to do. Go to local meetups, connect with people, learn other people's strategies. We did that. And even though we did a pretty damn inefficient job at buying a rental property, look at what it turned into today. And I didn't know it was going to turn into 50 million in real estate and 300 more of these damn BRRRRs, with the refinance being the key part of this. So the right connection to be able to refinance and creatively own real estate long-term using other people's money or even a little bit of your own money is the way of the future. If we were a little bit off on this numbers and we had a little bit of cash, we could have been in this deal for just a couple grand, $4,000, and we would have owned this property. That's a lot better than putting $25,000 down. So even if the deal doesn't work out perfect, you're still not going to be having to put 20% down. Plus, you were the one managing the rehab, or you saw it get rehabbed, so you got ahead of a lot of the maintenance issues and just were able to put a really, really good product to attract the best type of tenant that's going to stay longest and have minimal maintenance. Real estate's a beautiful thing, people. I absolutely love it. And if you're sick and tired of not being able to get ahead financially because of the system that we're in, inflation and all the craziness of the world, then you want financial stability and financial control, real estate is the best way to do it. Follow me here on YouTube because I talk about everything: how to find the deal, how to fund the deal, and different options based on your specific situation and what you need. And of course, if you want to learn from me and be part of my community, click on the link in the description to hop on a call with my team to see if you're a good fit. And there's a ton of other freebies in the description, some calculators, some free trainings, and a ton of other things to help you be successful on your own. And if you want me to hold your hand, I sure as hell will. Other than that, like button, subscribe. See you on the next one.